Welcome to your second video on types of data. Now in the last video we explored marketing research and we introduced market research and the benefits of it. Now we're going to explore the types of data that you can collect through your market research. And in terms of the terminology associated with market research, we're going to divide it down to 4 different terms that we're going to try and understand. So the first one is primary data. Primary data is collected firsthand. We collect it, whether it's physically in person, whether we employ people to go out there and do that for us, or whether we do it through internet platforms. But we are collecting it. We are coming up with the data, with the questions. We are coming up with the method, and we are collecting that information in, which means it's current. It's current because it's right now. It's new. The issue with that is it can be very time consuming. It can be time consuming for us or the people that collect it in terms of it takes us a long time to get that information and talk to lots of people. But it's also quite time consuming in terms of analysing that data because we're bringing it all in and we're having to input that data and then make sense of it. Secondary research is the opposite. Secondary research or secondary data already exists. Is out there. It might be on a government website. It might be another company have collected it already. And by using the data that's already there, it's quick, it's cheap. It might be out of date because we're not sure when that data was collected. And that's something to be aware of. But more worryingly, it may not be specific towards exactly what we're looking for. So we haven't had control over the questions, the way it's been asked, the method used. So we're trying to interpret all of that and look at our raw data and try and make sense of it based on what we're looking for. And therefore, it may not be specific enough for us. Now, in terms of the data we collect, we can divide that into it's either quantitative or it's qualitative. And quantitative essentially means it's statistical, it's numerical. It should be objective. It may not always be, but it should be objective as in it's more likely to be factual or it is factual information. Now, the really good thing about quantitative data is because it's quite quick for people to complete, we can collect it on a large scale. We can collect it with 50, hundreds, even potentially thousands of people. And that should make it more reliable because we're collecting it from lots and lots of people across a range of different populations, as in different ages or different locations. Doesn't guarantee it's reliable, but it should be. And it doesn't guarantee it's valid. But again, if we do it well, it should be. The real benefit of quantitative data is it's generalizable. We can upscale it. We can use statistical analysis to upscale it to say, if all these people think this, well, we can assume that's going to be right for the entire population. So if everyone from Plymouth thinks this about this product, well, actually, we can assume that everyone from the Southwest or the majority of people from the Southwest think that. And therefore, we can use quantitative data by upscaling it to really understand our target market or the population, which can impact our product and our decision making. Now, qualitative research is very different. It's subjective, it's personal, it's opinionated. It takes longer because we're going to spend longer with the people that we're collecting data with. So therefore, we're going to gather more of the why. Why do they think that? What's the meaning of this? And because it takes such a long time and we get much greater depth of information, we usually limit that to smaller samples. We ask less people. And because we ask less people, well, we can't generalize that. We can't say because these 10 people think something, therefore everyone thinks that. Statistical analysis doesn't work in that way for such a small group of people, and we're not collecting numerical data anyway. We're going to be talking and collecting data through conversations. So we can't upscale that. But what we can do is we can find out the why, we can find richer information. Now, if we look at it in terms of this visual representation here, in the bottom left, the first thing that we will try and do with market research is we will try and think of the purpose of this piece of research, the purpose of this market research. Are we looking for the size of the market? Are we looking for market trends? Are we forecasting what might happen in the future? Are we trying to identify consumer needs, etc.? Then we think about how we might sample that. Who are we going to ask? Are we going to ask people randomly? Are we going to ask people randomly but stratify that in terms of, well, we'll ask the same number of male and female or the same number from location 1 as location 2? Once we've done that, we can think for our primary research up in the top left. Now, these different methods will come out more in the next two videos, so we won't necessarily go through those too much now, but that could be quantitative or qualitative. Or if we go to the top right, we can think about secondary research. We can do that in addition or instead of primary research. And that can be divided into two aspects. We can look at internal sources, so our own company accounts. We can complete our own internal reports. We can look at where we're making the most money, location, demographics, etc. Or we can look at external sources, so government data, trade publications in magazines specific to our industry. We can look at commercial data, or we can look at household expenditure, or even other company data if that's released. And we can use that to inform our own market research.